I tried to reinvent myself. And the key there was actually just make sure that you empty your cup. Like, there's still so many things in your life that you can actually do. So I keep on start looking at myself. Am I just gonna be a singer? Like, it's just really like what I can just do, or just a performer, do acting. And no, I think I could do something else. I'll be a sales guy. And then next thing, I'll be a call center guy. I'll be handling all those things. And then the next few years, I'm gonna be an executive assistant. I don't know what that is, but I'll just do it.
Emerge Stories is a place where, as the name implies, you are going to hear stories. Stories from people all over the Philippines who have come from many different types of backgrounds, and especially people who have gone through struggles, people who have gone through the challenging parts of life. And I hope that these stories will relate for you in some way, that some of these stories will really land for you because these people have gone through probably just about the same thing you might be going through right now. Today's guest on Emerge Stories is another person here in the Philippines, specifically Cebu, who is very important to me and has been just an amazing person in my life, and especially is, I think, a great example of someone who just strives to grow and learn all the time, make himself better. His name is Bernard Alia, and I'm so happy to be joined by him today. Bernard, he is very much a purpose-driven individual. He's a process engineer. He's just a people person. He's an incredible singer. Bernard is just an amazing person. I would say one of the things that I really love about Bernard is he has a passion for giving. He thrives on embracing challenges. He finds great joy in supporting other people who are fully committed to discovering their own goals and purpose in life. He's just somebody who really gives back, pays it forward. And he has a lifelong commitment and goal of being a gift to others. So I hope that you guys will really enjoy getting to know Bernard, and something here in this conversation will be inspiring to you. I'm quite sure that we'll have more conversations with Bernard in the future. And he's just somebody I've really enjoyed watching on his growth journey. And as always, if you find something here useful, inspiring, reach out, tell Bernard what you think, leave us comments. We love comments. And please like, subscribe, check the bell, and share this with someone that you think would be inspired by it. Somebody out there that might be struggling and feeling a little bit down or depressed, that might be really inspired by hearing Bernard's stories of how he went through really low points in his life so far and has made himself into who he is now. All right, without further ado, let's jump in, and I hope you enjoy this conversation on Emerge Stories. Welcome, Bernard, to the Emerge Philippines podcast and interview series. How are you this morning?
I am doing great. A little bit tensed up, and this is my first of many, many podcast interview, I guess, or any types of interview, to be honest, except for job interviews. But yeah, I'm really, really glad to be here speaking with you. It's a great privilege. Yeah. How about you as well?
First of many. I love it. That's a good way to think about it. I am doing fine. So I know you are here in Cebu because we work together and I know where you live. So
Oh no.
I won't ask you. I don't know exactly where you live. I haven't been to your house for some reason, but no. So thanks for being here. And I'm looking forward to you sharing your story. Just keep in mind, like, these stories are designed to help people. Like, the whole point is talking about your struggles and how, your life is just like everybody else. So not interviewing you because you're a celebrity, or there's no need to be perfect or nervous. Just share, and
Mhm.
hopefully your story will be helpful for someone listening. So jumping in, I'd love to start with kind of like what's going well in your life and some things that you're grateful for where you are right now.
Yeah. So right now, especially in this new year, 2023, Happy New Year, by the way, I am in a state or in this occupation where I can actually grow a lot, where I can always be tested and challenged and always be ready for all of those things. Where like I always have this courage where I just like, yeah, I'm taking in like if my boss, like it's the co-founders who actually give me a task or challenges that they don't even know how to do it and I don't know it as well, I'm happily taking it in and analyze everything because the fear factor is so low and my confidence level is so high. So that's where my state is now than before, which is I never thought that I actually have this power of I can do anything. The word like I can do anything. But
I love it.
despite actually, yeah, despite that not everyone can actually do anything. We're not in this, this world is not perfect, but just the drive, the mindset of getting the confidence of like just doing something. I'm really happy that I have that right now because I can actually take in a lot of tasks,
Beautiful.
whatever it is. Yeah.
So you feel like you're learning really fast? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
And
And
one of the reasons you're learning so fast is because you're saying yes to things that you don't know how to do, and you're figuring them out quickly because largely because you believe you can. So you've got this confidence that's leading you to just faster and faster growth because you're like, yeah, I can figure anything out. Right.
yeah, and one of the most important element there as well is if there's this new thing that was like new challenges given to you, you have to always think outside of the box where like, I know there's somebody around the world that knows the problem or has taken in this challenge. And I know it's somewhere out there. That's how you actually expand out. Like, oh yeah, I can take on this because I feel like somebody else already solved this type of problem. And most of the time, yeah. And then you just have to follow whatever formula they have done or any action steps they have done, and then yeah, you're
Okay.
good to go. Yeah.
I really want to dig into a little bit of your background story and talk about some of your learnings and struggles and how you got here. But first, I really got to talk about that for a second because I love that topic that you just brought up. If I can rephrase it, I think you're saying that you look at the world that you live in and you believe somebody out there has the knowledge that I need, has probably shared it in a way that I can go find it. Oh, and we live in 2023 where you have access to like all knowledge. So you can just, find it immediately. Is that kind of a fair way of
Yeah,
recapping that?
yeah, that's just clear, man. That's amazing. Yeah, that is what I
So
actually meant. It's
I
crazy.
love that. I love that. And I think that's been a really key part of my journey as well, is just both things you said, like I can really relate with, is how important it has been in my growth and self-teaching and learning, is like that I believed I could figure things out. And so I put myself in situations where I didn't know what I was doing. And then the belief that whatever you need resource wise is out there. It's like it's always out there. And if you just believe that, I swear to God, if you just believe that and you go look for it, you find it. So I love those two mindsets. So how did Bernard get to be this guy with these mindsets? Like, talk to us a little bit about, your, I'd love to know who you see yourself. I think you just started telling us who you see yourself as now compared to before a little bit, but like do a little bit of comparison or contrast. Who's the Bernard? How far back do you want to go? If you imagine the Bernard of the past that you're comparing the Bernard of today with, how far back do you want to go?
The super depressed Bernard, or yeah,
You
like
choose.
super depressed where I actually want to kill myself, or I actually tried.
Okay.
And
Let's
yeah,
talk about that.
let's try to talk about it's more like one of the biggest problems what I had before was in when you are isolated, when you are not just alone, but also very, very lonely. And no, the insecurities will actually bubbles in. It started back when I was in high school, where like my group of friends, like I'm in first year high school, and most of my group of friends, my mindset or before my maybe we could call it maturity, are those types of people in fourth year. So when they graduated, I actually didn't have the time to spend time with all of my batchmates or classmates and everything, because I mostly focus on those people because I love those people. They're fun, they're crazy, and they think we actually think alike. But when they actually were gone, I don't have anybody to talk to.
Yeah.
And then the bullying starts to come in. And then I'll tell you this, no matter how confident you are, no matter how like you keep on saying that I'm gonna be good, I'm gonna be better, I'll be doing better, this thing. If the environment is really wrong, no matter how strong you are, you will actually go down. Like far dead down where you actually go. Like from me and back in high school, starting out kicking like and just like having fun playing basketball, whatever it is, with all of my fourth year high school friends. And then now to just staying at the library and just staying in the corner of a library, just reading books and not talking to anybody.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's because I couldn't sync up with, with my classmates or even the second year hires of them. I can't really relate to their stories because it's so different than I am. Because, yeah. And especially I speak English well. So there's going to be like a language barrier to most people. So that's like, it's one of the most craziest thing where it's also this part of this culture, Filipino, like if you actually speak English well at a young age, they will really think of you as rich. But no, we're living at a
Mm,
squatters area during that time. So yeah, I couldn't actually make friends with people before. I do have some few, but
so
because of that, yeah, it breaks down everything in me. And then also the bullying starts to comes in because
yeah,
I'm actually very skinny
I wanted to
and
ask
like
about that. Yeah, like
yeah,
so you were getting
yeah,
bullied because you're skinny?
skinny, pale white, and my voice is actually higher tuned because I wasn't in puberty yet. So I have this kind of a squeaky, girly voice sometimes. So
Not
people
anymore.
will yeah, not anymore. I'm glad. But yeah, like it's basically at the 7 a.m. until 4 p.m. everything constantly bully. Like keep like it's my nickname now. It's like Bayut there is actually
Mm,
gay.
yeah.
Like, and there's even a time where I actually questioned myself if I was gay or not. Like I was like, wondering, like, am I really gay or not? But like my answer was actually no. No, I wasn't. Yeah.
So it would be tempting to go into all the reasons why humans do things like bullying and why do kids in school make fun of people that they think might be gay, but let's not go down that path for now.
Yeah.
Just curious, what did you do? So you were being bullied, all your friends that you were closer with who were older than you started graduating and leaving school,
Yeah.
and then you ended up with no friends. And you said earlier that the environment, you feel like no matter how strong your self-talk is, the way that you're talking to yourself and you're saying whatever good things you're saying to yourself about yourself, I'm smart, I can figure things out, that when your social support, system disappeared and you find yourself all alone and everybody seems to be kind of against you, that environment sent you spiraling down.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
So where did that lead you? Like how bad did that get? How low did you go?
It comes down to almost like for 3 years. This is how like the biggest struggle in me, since most of my classes don't know really who I am. And if I try to befriend one of them, they will try to drag their friends back to their own group and I'll be alone again. And that has been a constant struggle for me in my high school life, which like it just like I just stopped. Like I give up. I don't want to do this anymore. So I stick with the books, read a lot of fictional books and stay there. And then there are some opportunities where I can actually use my skills, which is singing. And that was actually my one of my lowest. There was this one lowest point where I was singing with like 500 to almost 1,000 crowd of kids and their families and stuff like that. And this gave me like one of the most embarrassing scars, to be honest, because when I sang this full note, like high note, my voice breaks and
Cracked.
everyone can hear. Yeah, cracked, and everyone just laughed in the
Mm,
side. And then there are some parts like I see my bullies and keep on shouting,
mm,
like, oh yeah, bye. And I just keep on doing it. And then after that, I actually went backstage and I tried to stab myself because I like stabbed myself in the wrist because it's so embarrassing. But one of my friends found me that like, oh, what are you doing? And I just
mm.
stabbed myself. So that was like kind of the lowest thing where actually every single day I want to either kill myself or kill the school. It's crazy.
During those times when you were really feeling, you said you felt alone and lonely.
Hmm.
Are you comfortable talking at all about kind of like family relationships in those time periods and anything you were feeling related to family back then? And the reason I think this is an important conversation is because in Filipino culture, like it's pretty clearly a pattern that a lot of people struggle with family pressure, like and some
Hmm.
things like that. So I'm just kind of curious, like where you said you didn't have the social support that you had before with your friends, and then you feel very lonely. Like what was going on? Whatever you're willing to talk about as far as kind of
Yeah.
family relationships at that time.
Family relationships, like that was only my safe haven. I'm more happy to actually not go to school anymore because I'm comfortable just staying at home and then or going to a computer shop there with just bunch of like old people random playing video games and that's it. And like if I go back to my track record of absences and cutting classes in my high school, there's a lot because I don't have like I don't see value in it, to be honest. I don't see value in it in going to school anymore because I don't want to try to face that type of environment again and again and again. It's insanity, to be honest.
Mhm.
Yeah. But
So
if
how did
like Yeah.
So but you said at that time you guys were living in a squatters area, you said?
It's like
Or
a
before
technical
that?
thing, yeah, before that, but
Okay.
yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about, kind of some of the challenges of where you were. I mean, I'm assuming your family wasn't very financially
Mhm.
stable or successful back when you were a kid, from the
Yeah.
things I've heard you say and what you just said. So talk to us a little bit about maybe some of that as well, some of those struggles.
Yeah. So my family has been like their financial status goes up and down and up and down, like very high because we have a business, very like a lending business, anything. And then once that actually business goes down, it goes like really like low where we have to live at like a small house, like very small house, and there's like six of us inside. Guess we are five kids, and then two, my mom and my dad. I believe this is just small house. But one of the most strangest thing about it is that both my mom and my dad never let us feel like we are actually poor. I actually just realized it back in college that yeah, we are poor. But when I look back on it, it's like, huh, like my dad still fulfills on getting, like giving us toys as much as possible because no matter he's just a tricycle driver or he actually just also drives a jeepney and stuff like that. But he still, give us like what we need, what we want. He always fulfill his promises and I think stuff like that, which was crazy. I was like, oh, and
So
that's why we never felt like it was poor, but the struggle was there. Yeah.
my childhood was pretty a lot like that, where my parents had their own business and they had also 8 kids, of which I'm the eldest, and there were times when we just actually had absolutely nothing, but then other times we had
Mhm.
more. So I kind of relate with that. But you said that your family had like a business that was doing pretty well at one point and then it really crashed,
Yeah, it
something like
crashed
that.
and bore where all of our stuff and like we used to have like this big house and it got think because they're still lacking money, so they took a lot of stuff inside our place.
Mm.
And yeah, both my mom and my dad are in a very depressing state, especially my mom. My brother told me the story many times where my mom will hide under the bed with me because she felt very scared if they will took me because it wasn't enough. Yeah, so that's how crazy it
What
was.
were they going to do with you? Sell you?
Probably.
God.
But, that's like our mindset because everything was like, taken away and
Mm,
she's scared that, they will take away her own child. So it's crazy.
that is crazy. Very low point.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, and now, you're at this place where, from what I know, you're probably going to be going abroad next
Hmm.
this year. Tell us about
Yeah,
your
this
plans.
year.
Tell us about your plans there.
Oh yeah. So it's pretty much simple. I go study there. And after a year, I basically kind of live there and just work on my visa while I'm studying for a year to get the permanent one. So yeah, that's mostly it. I'll take 6 months course of education, 6 months course of like practical work at a restaurant. And then after that, I will also apply, just, work on my visa to get, permanent there. Yeah.
So,
That's mostly it.
so you grew up in a family where things were really low at times. During school, you're kind of really struggling with depression, but now you've got this confidence and you're a self teacher. And I know this because I know you, I get to work with you, but I see you as somebody who now just learns really, really, really fast. You've got so many opportunities. You're building relationships where you've got tons of opportunities for the future. You're going to go study abroad. So how did what can you remember, if you could share with other people, what do you think were some of the most important either decisions that you made or maybe shifts that you made internally, things that you started, shifting in the way that you
Mm.
approach life, or, what are some of the things you could remember that you would share that along that journey, kind of
Yeah,
milestone?
but I think I need to talk to you about the struggle and how I actually
Yeah,
go into those,
please.
like understandings. The first struggle that I have was back when I was in COVID, where it was at the peak of COVID and I got septic arthritis. So this septic arthritis is actually this infection on your knee. And if you don't really work well with it, the doctors might cut off your knee.
Okay,
So
so pause. So for people listening, the COVID lockdowns are happening, and then somehow at the same time you coincidentally end up getting this bad knee infection. Like, do you know how you
Yeah.
got it? Any idea? Not really sure.
It was something like a bacteria. I had a minor cut
Okay.
before
Okay.
and
So you
dirty
got some
water actually got
bacteria
it.
into your joint and it started causing a problem. And then at the same time, so keep going. So it's during lockdowns, and then you're having this major health issue, and then go ahead.
Yeah, so whenever I actually tell this story, I always have this like title, the 2 weeks of hell to be or 2 weeks of hell where you will experience helplessness, total isolation, death is everywhere, and death in like I said, in the corner of your room is just standing there. But to me, that actually felt like it was because in the first 3 days where I get admitted at this public hospital here in the city, I won't mention the name, but yeah, it's a very crappy hospital. And they placed me in this emergency room, emergency isolation room where it's just small walls, no aircon, nothing. It's underneath like a basement floor,
Wow.
and everything was just like hot, like purgatory hot, to be honest, if I want to explain something like that. Because, and then the bed was just, it's a leather bed. So you can imagine just like you were sleeping, laying there in pain. Whenever you like move your leg, both of your legs, to be honest, because the septic arthritis is getting bigger and bigger. Whenever you move, just pain. Everything is pain. Like, so I have to stay still to make sure that I just have to stay still to make sure I don't feel the pain,
Yeah.
anything like that. Because it really hurts like hell. And then what's like adding on to that uncomfortability is I am all alone and I can hear people just screaming. I can just hear people screaming like, ah, why? And stuff like that. Oh my God. Like, it's just so
And
scary.
these other people are
Yeah,
what they're
Emer like, maybe they're COVID, but I was placed in an emergency room, so there are some people there that, just recently got an accident or something, so some of them are screaming, some of them are like, "Oh, why am I here?" Stuff like that.
And so was the level of care reduced because of COVID, you think? Or how did
It
it affect?
was well, I in this country, there's already a problem of nurses, or like, there's only most of our nurses are going abroad.
Right.
So in there's like little care. There's only like one or two nurses that handles 30 people or 40 people, which is crazy. So I wasn't really handled care, but I'll get to that point because that's what one of my lowest point as well was. Yeah. So I was in an isolated room where there's no aircon, no anything. Everything was like everything for me is wet, and my sweat just goes to my back. And so if I they try to get me up, and like you feel like this your skin is peeling on your back, and you just like feel like, oh, when will this end, and when will this end, and I couldn't sleep every single time. And that's where I actually, for me, before that, is I am totally just, I can do anything, right? I can, like, the world is my oyster. But that infection and that like state of myself, I have the state of helplessness. I can't do anything alone. Like, basically, I can't move. I can't wipe my own butt. I need to wear a diaper, and I can't even wear my own diaper. I need somebody to do that for me, and
How
because
long
I
were
can't.
you how long were you laying there? Like, what were you waiting for? You waiting for like a surgery or?
Yeah, I was for 3 days. I was waiting for a surgery, and then they transferred me to another place where all because I was positive, like COVID positive, so I was transferred to another place. And I'm glad that there's people, but the people there are inmates from from prisons, an old person who is like already dying and it's like rot. She has this rotting smell, and she's just like, in the bedside where every time I look, it's like, oh my God, like, she couldn't speak anymore. And then there's other people that has a tube in here because they are struggling to breathe.
Intubated, yeah.
Yeah,
And so that
intubated.
this is like a COVID quarantine facility or something?
Yeah, it is. It is. But
And you
these are
still haven't had the surgery.
I still haven't had the
Okay.
surgery. And Yeah, because they kept on getting it delayed and delayed because there's still a lot, like they mostly prioritize some other people first, and then yeah, and there are only few doctors as well. And if the doctors get COVID, they have to go isolate as well. So that's how crazy it was. And what like the sense of just you staying in the bed for 2 weeks, you can't actually do anything. It's like you are, how do I say this? It's also the worst. It really is the worst feeling ever where you can't do anything anymore. When I look back, it gives me flashback to my grandparents where they were bedridden or stuff like that, where I see their face that they actually want to try something. They want to get up. They want to just walk around, dance around freely like they did before, but they can't because their body is not,
Yeah.
it's not functioning as well. It's in pain
So you're
every time you move.
so you're powerless.
Yeah.
You're waiting 2 weeks for the surgery?
Yeah.
My God.
No, 1 week for the surgery and then another week for the recovery.
Okay, so you have the surgery in the quarantine facility.
Yeah. I
And
didn't
I guess nobody can come visit you, right?
nobody. Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody. So this is one of the most funniest thing is if you are in like, in a hospital and then you are about to get surgery, you were like your mindset is totally like, oh, I think I'll be transferred to a surgery room where I can do that. But since the surgery room was actually full, they had to do the operation on my bed with all of those people. And the embarrassment of just you like screaming and screaming. Well, some of the tenants there actually put up a video on me doing that. And I just saw him just doing like, it was just crazy. Well,
Did you ever did you ever get any of those videos or find them on YouTube or anything?
I wish,
You
but
need to find it.
I don't know, but I remember that the nurse actually ran towards him. I no, no, don't shoot this video, but
So
too
if
late
any
for that, man.
if anybody's listening to this and you know who took that video, then you got to find Bernard and give it to him.
Yeah,
Some
please do, please
memorabilia.
do. Yeah,
Okay. All right. Keep going with
I
your
am.
story.
So everything is just pain, total pain, despair, yeah, powerless, helplessness, everything. And I couldn't really change my mindset on that because, like, for me, it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna die. I'm positive with COVID. I'll probably say, when I look into in front of me, I look at this guy that has a tube. That will probably be me the next few weeks from now. My mindset was
Yeah.
so negative.
And
Like,
back then, a lot of us were not sure what COVID was going to be like. So we kind of thought, I mean,
yeah,
pretty easy to imagine that. Yeah.
yeah,
I could imagine being where you are and imagining, like your brain starts telling you everything is pretty much fucked.
yeah.
Okay.
And one of the most like worst thing where I can actually say that is everywhere. The bed that I'm staying in, like I'm laying down, like when I got transferred, one of my neighbors, which is another friend, I got another like bedside and just across me and just like, hey, you're the new guy. I was like, it's like, yeah, I am. And then it's like, oh, so are you okay? Like, I'm not okay. And he just blurted the statement out. The other guy actually just died there, and now you're transferred. It's like, oh,
The bed you're now
yeah, the
in.
bed that I'm laying down, somebody actually died there
Mm,
recently,
wow.
got transferred, and I'm the next one. It's like, is this a cursed bed? So every it just, it just adds up the, you know,
But you're here. So we know you lived.
yeah, yeah. I'm surviving and thriving, but
So
yeah, yeah.
what did you take away from that experience? How did
One
it
of
change?
the
How did it change you? Yeah. Go ahead.
it start with small talks, like start with the conversations. This is one thing that I really believe in is that you need to find a medium of everything, like, like something to relay on what you're thinking in your head. You relay it to other people. That's where, like, as mostly before, I mostly believe in myself.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm strong, I'm powerful, and stuff like
Right.
that. But when you're in that type of situation where like all in your head is our negatives, you have to release them out to someone, actually, somebody. You need to talk to a lot of people. You
So who did you
communicate with
talk
them.
to?
Well, all my bedmates, those dying and those have tube and just say hi and stuff like that. And my neighbor, who is also a criminal, or like he said that he actually killed like a bunch of people. That's why he's there.
Wow.
Two people, like yeah, he killed like two people. It was one part of a gang member. But I talked to him just like everything about my like negativity. Like, are we gonna die? Is this gonna be my fate? Or are they gonna like my cutout? And surprisingly, what's fun about it is they actually like, no matter what they are, no matter what ethnicity, like, the difference between them.
Background. Yeah, with
Yeah, their background. Yeah, sorry, their background.
it's okay.
Yeah, and they just actually gives you like comfort as well. Like, you'll be fine. You can do this. Everything is gonna be okay. And then they'll just stop. And then there's another person and the side. I also talk to him as well. How are you doing? How are you feeling? And everything like that. It makes the room less dark as well.
Yeah.
Because the first encounter you see here, everything you see the situations. So you know they have a tube on. The other one is dying. The one stinks as hell. The other one is just like an inmate, different backgrounds, whatever. But when you start talking to them, just reaching, like, how are you? How are you doing? I'm feeling this. I'm feeling that. Are you feeling this as well?
Mm.
How's your family and stuff like that? It releases the tense, and sometimes, and not really sometimes, but most of the time, it can actually turn into positivity. Because when you speak of encouragement, or
Yeah.
when they start talking encouragement, there's like a ripple as well in the room. And
Yeah.
also, I say something encouraging as well, or say something very funny joke, and then they all laugh. And yeah,
Yeah.
so that was one of the biggest element as well, is the communication when you're feeling that type of
Mm.
negativity. It's
I think
very, very important to like in myself now. So right now, whenever I feel like we're like negative or feel so stressed, I feel so bad, I feel so burnout,
mhm.
you have to talk to somebody.
So what do you do? Like, what are some of the keys? You just is it okay to just complain and just dump a bunch of negative energy on somebody, or are you like how do you do it? What do you think is the key? Because like so just I think this is really important because people, you know, we deal with our problems a lot of times internally, and a lot of people have the habit of holding their own problems inside. And I think in this culture also
Hmm.
often it's you're not supposed to dump your problems on other people. You're supposed to kind of bear your own cross or whatever you want to say, like deal with your own
Hmm.
problems. And so people a lot of times, not just this culture, but I've done it a lot, where you're just trying to solve things in your head and you're keeping things inside, right? And then maybe
Hmm.
there's also a hesitancy to be vulnerable and like show that you're feeling something that you can't handle, like something just overwhelmingly negative. But then you're saying that you figured out that how uplifting it can be to just verbally process and share what you're dealing with and like just pour your heart out. And then you realize like people are actually there for you, but you didn't know it until you said it out loud, right? Something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
So so
absolutely.
so how do how do you use that now? It sounds like you're saying you now apply what you learned there more often? Like you
Yeah.
okay. So I'd love to hear like what's your method now? How do you use that?
It's crazy now though, like I get to learn that lesson. Like whenever I had negativity, I just basically like go to speak with somebody. And that somebody, one of the key elements there that if you want to formulate it, is that actually you go to the people that you actually trust and also has knowledge who you are deeply. Like just talk to them, and then also make sure that your communication first tells like, by the way, I'm gonna say something that's like stressing me out right now. Do you have the time to talk about it? So like, find the right people, and then get consent first if their energy is fine or right. And then and then lastly, the third one is like actually express everything that you're feeling to this,
Are
to
there
your work or to your personal life.
do you
Yeah.
find that there's any do's or don'ts in how you process it with other people? Like any goals in mind when you're doing that? Do you have any
Oh yeah. One of my biggest don'ts is never call out the name. Just call out the situation. Make it as like oh, this guy I have is very and stuff like that. Or
uh,
I have this thing about this random person, just feels like that.
yeah.
Or you can even like alternate it into a story where it's not actually you. And then like a third
Hey,
person.
I'm asking for a friend.
I'm asking for a friend. Like it's so funny and like ideally, but yeah, it actually helps as well. So
So make it
And
a
for
little
me,
bit
like,
anonymous, and that keeps it from becoming gossip.
yeah, and then they're mostly gonna dive into the problem. Like you have to highlight like what's your major concern, major problem, major frustration, and then
One thing I've discovered that I find really fascinating is that we can have something that's frustrating us, or like a problem we don't know how to solve, or a decision maybe we don't know how to make, and we keep it inside and we just keep working on it. And sometimes we get really tangled up with complexity of ideas or emotions. And then, but there's something really, really powerful about verbally processing with somebody who is non-judgmental. So somebody who doesn't judge, and then they're willing to just listen, and they're focused enough that you think they're understanding enough. But honestly, like I've noticed how powerful it can be to do that. And so verbally processing through something that I'm trying to work on I've been working on it myself. I feel stuck, whatever. I verbally process it with somebody else. They don't need to do anything to solve it. They don't need to even hardly say anything. And then I
yeah,
figure out my own problem just by verbally processing it with somebody who's
yeah,
willing to listen without judging. And so I think what you're saying is really good advice. Like, make sure you have some people you can talk to, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're dumping negative energy on them. You're not necessarily
mm,
asking them to solve anything. Sometimes
yeah.
I even do that. I'm like, hey, I don't need you to try to solve this. Just just let me talk. Because when I verbally something changes, like our brains do something
It's
different.
true. Absolutely true. Yeah, it's
I,
like it's one of the co-founder, Jarek, the way he has this morning routine with his EA, where they just the EA just sits there and listen to him, just talk and talk for like 30 to 40 minutes about his idea, it's like formulating and stuff. So he actually shared me that one as well. And I like it boosted up my formula, like, oh shit, yeah, I really have to do this. Yeah, a lot. Because it works. It totally works. It's amazing. Yeah.
EA means executive assistant for anyone who
Yeah.
doesn't know. So you had this knee infection. You ended up going through this this situation that most people have never dealt with anything quite like that. And then one of the things you learned from that was that you don't have to deal with everything yourself, and you get this. There's a It kind of reminds me also of your story in school where you had the social circle and then you lost it. It's like, humans need social connection. We need that circle of people, and
Yeah.
sometimes you don't know where you're going to find it. Sometimes it's in a hospital bed when you think you're going to die, and you end up finding support, people that will listen and actually boost you up. So, and then you took that and used it in your life. What other, what other parts of that story, or what other
Yeah.
struggles do you think are worth talking about?
Another one that is like one of the most important learnings that I have, which boosted up one is how like my resourcefulness. And two is like rallying people to you was my COVID week part two. I have COVID part one where actually I got my knee. There's also another part two. And this life, and this, it was 2021, early January, stuff like that. I got COVID again, but at least it's asymptomatic, and asymptomatic means like, you don't actually have the like, you don't really have those like hard symptoms where you're struggling to breathe, you're coughing, stuff like that. It's just normal, but you do have it. So then you get transferred again. You get transferred again to this like, quarantine place here. And damn, this quarantine place is depressing as hell. It's a huge it's like a coliseum or something, and it's very one of the most struggling thing. But since I got the thing that I've learned before, like, I need to, these people needs actually something to reach out to talk about to. So I started with a one small group, and then I just jumped into them, listened to their stories, and I talked to them as well, reciprocate, and then give them positivity. And then one big idea is that like, you know what, to really drive this up, we need to make an activity. We need to do something. We need to like, let them play. So the first thing I did is, okay, let's do a volleyball tournament. So I actually rally up like this group of kids. Okay, the net would be our like, for like laundries, like a hanger for the
Yeah,
laundries and
the
everything
laundry
like
line.
that is a
Yeah.
net. Yeah. And then they already have a ball. So I just make sure everything is in place. I do the outline, I'll do the preparation. I'll do outline, and I just like pinpoint different people to do that, and they go along with it. And we actually in a span of like 2 hours, we have already created 5 teams and they're just playing now. And then the prize money is I pinpoint somebody to crowdsource some, oh, go around to this place and then get money because we're gonna go tournament. I was like, oh yeah, and we have like 2,000 pesos. And then we separated the first place, first place, second place,
Nice,
third place,
nice,
and
nice,
fourth place.
nice.
And then we do it again and again and
That's
again
cool.
over the past few weeks. And goes bigger and bigger and bigger. People, instead of people
Uh,
going out, they want to stay in. It's so crazy that like they're doing that.
That's
Yeah,
funny. I
it
love it.
is. It's really amazing when
How did it make you feel that you started all that?
I feel pride.
Yeah, I can
I
tell.
feel pride plus a little bit humble as well. Because this is one of the biggest lessons that I learned from it. Like, if you have a wonderful purpose on what you do, everything will follow. No matter like what different type of people, like different ethnicity, religion, sex, everywhere there. There are gay people, everything. If you have this amazing purpose to make everyone happy, that was my purpose there. I want everyone to take off all those negativities inside and then try just play around with it and go talk to this my like one of my support groups here. I created a prayer group here in every evening 7 a.m. There's need to be a rosary and yeah, it expanded and stuff like that. So
That's amazing.
it's
And
yeah.
so you did all that because you remember how you felt the first time. So this is your second time in quarantine because you were COVID positive again. And by the way, how
Uh,
long after the first, how long between these
the,
two?
it was like 6 months.
So
Yeah.
you had to recover your knee. And
Hmm.
how was your, by the time you were back in the second time, how was your knee doing by then?
Oh, it was like
Okay.
it was good
Okay.
now.
So you
Yeah,
could
it
play
was healthy.
volleyball.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's good.
Yeah.
So I just think it's an amazing thing where you not only did you learn the lesson of you can lean on other people and you can talk out loud about your problems and receive support and like everybody feels better, but you started, the second time in, you realize like you could be the one to go around giving and creating that for other people because they don't realize that everybody's just sitting there probably not talking to each other and
Uh-huh.
and worrying and whatever's going on in their inner world, right? But then you just create this social connection between people and then also fun and distraction and an entire ongoing tournament. I think that's just amazing. And I love the fact that you make that choice to be a giver and to serve people around you. And so your takeaway from that is like if you have the purpose of doing something for other people and giving value to the communities around you or whatever, like
Hmm.
things will be good for you is what your philosophy
Yeah.
is.
It's not just be good for you. It's like also people will that feeling that it
Mhm.
will resonate with them as well.
Yeah.
Goodness always, love and goodness always resonates.
Yeah.
And
Well, one thing I've learned is that I think humans probably we do everything we do from some place of wanting to avoid pain or seek a good feeling. And
mhm,
even doing good things for other people, like they're underneath it is this feeling that we get that's good. And that's one of the reasons why, like once you do good things for other people, you keep wanting to do more because you get this amazing
mhm,
feeling. So,
yeah,
there's still that part in it for
yeah,
us. But yeah, it's amazing. Well, I really love hearing these stories. I know you have a ton more.
hmm.
You are someone, you're 20, what, 25 now?
24, gonna
24.
be 25 next week.
Oh yeah, that's right. Birthday coming up. I just saw that on my calendar. Well, I'm grateful to have been able to work with you the last 2 years. I've seen you grow a ton. I really, you are someone I respect and admire. And I love the way you have that intent to give value to other people. I think it's amazing and grateful that I can call you a friend. And I'm really appreciating, you sharing this stories with other people. I know you're going to be impacting a lot of other people in your life going forward. To kind of wrap up today's interview, maybe we'll do another one in the future.
Mhm,
But just to wrap this conversation up, I'd like to, if you could share with the audience like a few of the things that you've learned around building habits of self-teaching, because I think you're somebody who really learns fast because you take ownership of your own growth and learning? And like, what are a few of the things you've learned around, principles of how to do that, how to take, because the school system that we grow up in doesn't really teach us to teach ourselves. It teaches us to do what we're told. And then
Mhm.
people a lot of times everybody wants to progress, everybody wants to grow, but we don't really know how. So like, what are some of the things you've learned where you have this ownership of your own future that I see in you?
That's actually a really good question. And it's nice that I prepared something a little bit statement here. So a little bit of statement. It's my biggest tip is like it always starts with looking at yourself. Like just, looking at yourself deeply, reflecting and what you can do, what you can't do, or like doing a SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is strengths, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities. It's just doing that. And then also looking on to what are the things that you hold value in your life and what are the things that you actually like things that you want to achieve. Start by try to question them, try to write down 5 different questions in your head. And most importantly, communicate or listen with the right people. These are the most wonderful steps that I keep on this habit of me keep doing it. This is basically the process of reinventing yourself
Mm.
every single time. One, looking at yourself, reflection, just thinking all the things that you have, things and not the things that you can't do or stuff like that, because it builds your confidence. Like, oh,
So I want to I want to pull on something you just said there. I think this is one of the most important concepts that I've ever stumbled across in my entire life is related to the idea of reinventing yourself. And I think, when I first thought about that, it felt very weird to me. I'm like, what does that mean, reinvent yourself? Because
yeah,
I think the way most of us think about ourselves is we are we are us. We are, like I'm me, but we don't realize how changeable we are. We don't realize how malleable we are. And I think the best way to look at ourselves is you can be the sculptor and the clay, and you're clay. You're not like this mug. You're not rigid unless you think you are. So where do you remember any shifts in your way of thinking about yourself where you shifted from maybe thinking you are a certain way to realizing you could change yourself, like where you started seeing yourself as more malleable?
oh yeah, you can actually see it on my employment background. I started from a busser boy at TGI Fridays. Like I started as a working. At first, I started as an on-job training, and then I turned into like an on-call job. And then after that, like, is this really what my life is? Becoming a server and stuff like this? Because this is what I'm taking on my college course. And then I look into another self, like another job, which is singing, and I got a scholarship from it. And I was like, oh, so that means I don't really need to be working, like just staying here, cleaning the dishes, talking to guests and stuff like that. I can actually go in front of the stage, singing with live people and everything like that. And I thought that was just it. I have the talent, I have the skills, I'm good at singing. This is who I am. This is who I'm gonna be. And then the next thing in life is I found this another opportunity where I became like a health benefit agent or a sales agent at an insurance company. Like, how the heck did I get in here? But I still do it anyway. I try to reinvent myself, and the key there was actually just make sure that you empty your cup. Like, there's still so many things in your life that you can actually do. So I keep on start looking at myself. Am I just gonna be a singer? Like, is this really what I can just do? Or just a performer, do acting? And no, I think I could do something else. I'll be a sales guy. And then next thing, I'll be a call center guy. I'll be handling all those things. And then the next few years, I'm gonna be an executive assistant. I don't know what that is, but I'll just do it. And yeah, I keep on thinking of that. And always, oh, okay, one big aspect as well on that one is to make sure that you will always get something from the things that you do, the learnings. Yeah. You always get something from like what we're doing right now. We're talking to each other, but I get to learn a lot of new things,
So
a
mo-
lot of new
so
things from you.
so more
Yeah.
experiences in diverse set of environments, like different industries, different
Mm.
types of work, different types of people that you're around, and you think that's led to maybe just a broader mental map of the world kind of thing? Is that,
Oh yeah.
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 What do you think drove you to say yes to those opportunities that were way outside of what you were doing? So, moving from being a singer to a sales guy, like what made you say yes to those things?
Well,
What
for
is it about
me,
you? Was it because you wanted to learn new things? I mean, was that kind of the main driver or something else?
oh yeah, it's one of the most important aspects. It's like learning new things and getting money. My purpose was there is just, oh, sales. I can get money, more money from this, and stuff like that. So that's also the financial. I want to have financial growth. That's like one of my biggest goal as well. So of course, I want to learn something. Plus, also it gives me financial, growth. So those are those two big goals, which actually normal people, and if you guys are listening, you can actually pursue that as well. Yeah,
My
because the
journey my
yeah.
journey has been kind of similar. What happened for me was I was chasing more financial freedom, which I'd never really had a lot of. And
Mm,
even though I've built businesses, I've never made tons of money personally. But I eventually realized that I needed to be growing myself and getting, like, I needed to grow myself if I wanted to be happy, and maybe even also if I wanted to be much more financially successful. I needed to focus on
mhm.
growing myself. But it was the chasing money that led me to realize that, and then also get more experiences. So sometimes I think wanting more money leads us
I
to growth
agree.
if we, but eventually I realized, like, it's actually better if I deprioritize money a bit. And
Yeah. There's a sense of balance to it.
yeah,
Yeah, you need to balance everything, and yeah, because like your relationship, like you need to look at your relationship with money as well, because you don't want to be in that scarcity mindset, because
yeah,
it just will really like drop you down. It's crazy
got
how that.
a lot of stories about that.
Yeah.
But
So yeah.
for another day. So Bernard,
Mhm.
I think for today, thank you. Is there, I would say, would you like to leave anyone with a resource? Like, is there something, a place that you have found a lot of learning, that if you could point people to, like, one resource that's been really powerful for you, like a YouTube channel or a book or a podcast or anything like that, that you would recommend people use to accelerate their own growth?
That would be. I'm gonna just open up my link here.
It's okay.
I have it here in
I
my hand.
didn't warn you about this question, so take your time.
It's an interview from Alex Hormozy. I feel like Eli, you know this guy. It's very technical though. It's not really like a life lesson thing. It's more like how you build your own brand, how you build
Okay.
yourself. And
So we'll put
he
the
actually
link.
talked. Yeah.
We'll put the
And we'll
link in the
send the
notes.
link here. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
amazing.
think so for people that are interested in maybe becoming an influencer or growing their business through social media, this is a video that kind of tells his story, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. I know the one because you shared it with me last week. Awesome. All right. Well, very cool. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you supporting what we're doing with Emerge Philippines. And I think you're just a great example of somebody who has such a growth mindset where you believe you can learn anything and you're just putting the work into it. So definitely would recommend anyone out there who hears Bernard's stories and thinks that they might be able to learn something, go find him on social media if he's open to that, and get some ideas from him. So thank you, Bernard, for this time and this conversation. And also just thank you for everything that I just enjoyed working with you so far and appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much as well. It has been a great privilege sitting down here with you and talking about just life and struggles and challenges. Happy to just give insights. Yeah, thank you so much, Eli.
Talk to you soon. Thank you so much for listening to this interview on Emerge Stories. We really hope that something here sparked your curiosity or maybe helped you think about something in your life just from a little bit of a different angle or perspective, maybe opened up your mind to something you might be able to do in your life to take more ownership of your own learning and growth. That's the goal of this show. So please join our community, like and share, and tell other people about these stories if they're meaningful for you. And thanks so much for being here.